in all the given times. I don't know how I do. I usually am very careful to take my glasses with me. I don't know what happened. And secondly is I have a feeling that I may have left it may have fallen out of my pocket in the cab, and he didn't notice it. So he's probably just driven home and he didn't notice it. Good. How you doing? So,
excuse me, could you back up a little bit?
Certainly, thank you.
we're
This way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you care?
Amen.
So the point made by the Rebbe here at the beginning of the Sikha, and it penetrates through the whole message of the Sikha. Everybody hear me clearly? Yeah? Is that in the Hebrew calendar, and for that matter, you feel free to leave whenever you need to. As the Hebrew calendar particularly, but for that matter, even as it is by the Ummah Sa'ilon, any day in which we find ourselves, the way of us knowing how to identify and describe the day is made up of two factors. One, the day of the week, and the second, the number of that day in the Yemei HaChodesh. And those two factors make up any day, no matter what day you're in. Let's say you're on the 28th of Menachem Ov, let's say. So that's the 28th of Menachem Ov, that's according to the month. But the day of the week may happen to be, let's say, Wednesday, so then it's Yom Dalet of the weekdays, it's Wednesday, and then it's the 28th of Menachem Ov, the day of the month. And these two things by Yidden have a very special significance, and to a certain extent the Goyim also have a similar thing, but they go according to the sun. Their months are not actually a month. The sun doesn't undergo any cycle. The sun just moves the whole time in a uniform way. Mashiach, the moon appears and then it goes to a high point and then it starts going down again, and it goes continuously in cycles, which means that there are actual monthly cycles by the moon, which means that the moon actually has months. And so when we count the Jewish month according to the moon, we're actually counting a genuine Matthias, a genuine existing entity that occurs in the world. However, the Goyim, when they count the months, they just divide up, the yearly period into 12 sections, but the sun doesn't undergo. The sun goes down in the nighttime, comes up in the morning, but it never alters that practice. It just does that the whole time, except for once in 29, 30 years, there's a little eclipse, or it sort of slightly alters its way of appearance of the sun, but otherwise it's completely uniform. What that indicates that the months and the days of the month by the Goyim are just an agreed on thing. They're a thing that all the Goyim more or less agree that they will divide the year into so many months and into so many days. And therefore they have different months that have got different numbers of days. And it's all an old pattern was agreed on, way back in time of the Anglo-Saxons or the Romans, exactly who. But by Yidden, the days of the month are determined by the genuine movement and cycle of the moon, which means that the month is a real existing, what we might call factor or matziyas, and the days of the week are fixed by the sun, which means that a Yid, when he says, for example, today is Beit Tammuz, and he said today is Thursday, Beit Yom Hey, or Friday, Yom Vov, Beit Tammuz, then Yom Vov, Friday, is according to the sun. And that doesn't alter, that doesn't change. That just goes an ever-returning cycle the whole time. But when he says that it's Beis Tammuz, then he means a certain movement of the moon, which has brought about a situation called Tammuz. So the names given to the months, that's that's another factor, how they got the names, and where they're in the Torah we don't find the word Tammuz. We only find the word Tammuz in the Nevi'ah, or the Nevuah of Yirmiyahu and Novi, but it's also not the name of a month. It's another word. When the Yidden were in Babel, then they gave names to the months according to these type of words. So Ein Hanami, the naming of the month has a certain agreement to it. But apart from that, the actual fixing that this is a Jewish month is according to a real situation called the moon. Okay, so the Rebbe is going to deal with the fact that every day that we meet up with has these two factors to it, and the day which is the Shabbat before Yud Beis Tammuz, and it's the Shabbat in Chutz La'aretz when the Rebbe said the Sikha was already after Gimel Tammuz. We're slightly different. We're dealing with the basic same parashat. So the Rebbe is going to make a point that these two factors in the day, they have also a tremendous significance in a Vedas Hashem of a Yid, and then if we look carefully at the way these numbers link together on a Shabbat, because Shabbat is a very holy day and a very special day of significance, then that's got an affecting factor when it gets to the week that's coming and all the days in the week, including Yud Beis Tammuz. What Yud Beis Tammuz is the Chag HaGeula of the Frierdiker Rebbe, and so we're going to see these two nuances occurring the whole time, and how they determine and they to a certain extent promote the Avodas Hashem when they get to all the days that follow. Now you have to forgive me, I can only see about 2/3 of what I'm reading. I can't really read clearly, so you have to forgive me. So he said, a Jewish date is Murkav Mishnei, I'm sorry, Chalafim maybe is the word, two different parts. Chelik Echad, who Asfira Ashvuis, the counting according to the week. Yom Rishon, Yom Shvi, Yom Shvi anyway. Yom Sheni, V'Halua. V'Achilek Hasheni, Hu Asfira HaChodshiyas. Aleph B'Chodesh, Beis B'Chodesh, V'chein Hara. So he said, Asfira HaShvuis is Banui Al Pi Mahalach HaShemesh. That goes according to the movement of the sun. Yeah, when the sun, the shemesh, goes down in the evening, and when it comes up again the next morning, that fixes the two main sections of a full day. And that's according to the movement of the sun. Yeah, the ilu, yeah, hashvira hachodshiyos, but the counting according to the monthly factor is banui mahalach, yeah, yoreh, yoreh, am I right? That's the word yoreh. He said that's according to, because the Rebbe doesn't work, the Rebbe used the word Levon. I was a bit sort of confused by that. So he says that our whole way of calculating what we know to be the day of the month, that's according to the moon. So he says, Shnei Sukei Spheres, Einum Benakuda.
אינם במקרה חס ושלום.
No, sorry, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's very, very hard for me to read.
I don't know, it's not his glasses.
He said these two ways of counting, Einam Benakuda
במקרא.
Chad
חס ושלום.
Chas v'sholom. Oh, I see.
Einam b'mikra chas
No, Einam b'mikra chas v'sholom. That's what it's saying. They're not b'mikra. Thank you. Yeah, they're not just done. Hein meduyochim u'mekuvonim al yedei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They're not just something that happens to come out that way. No, they're very carefully calculated and arranged by the Creator of the whole world. He said, "V'heim, משתקפים, they like indicate or show שתי שיטות. I really don't know what I'm going to do. The shnas,
שתי שיטות זה המר.
I really apologize. I'm terribly sorry, but
We're here, right?
I can't see certain words.
שתי שיטות.
They don't appear, they don't come up. So I lose the flow of the sentence.
שתי שיטות.
Maybe this is slightly better. Oh, that's not good.
שתי שיטות.
שתי שיטות הנהוגת העולם על ידי הקדוש ברוך הוא. He said these are two methods in the conducting of the whole world through the creator of the whole world is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So he says, Boro, in Cain, Shenitan, Tzorich, Ve'umed Bikach, Ve'roa B'Beit Hashem. So from that, since these two different ways of calculating where we hold at any given point in time, they are very carefully arranged by Kodesh Baruch Hu, then that must mean that a Yid is required and has to find an indication in Avodas Hashem. That means that the fixation of any date, if we study it carefully, it can teach us something in serving Hashem. For example, the Baal Shem Tov, it's well known, and the Rebbe mentions this in the footnotes in the Sikha. It's well known that the Baal Shem Tov said that everything you see and everything you hear during the whole day and the whole of your life, you can learn from that something in Avodas Hashem. Anything you observe or anything you hear, you are required to learn from that some meaning in Avodas Hashem. And why is that? Why would we say that everything one sees or one hears is a instruction how to serve Hashem, where everything is what we call Bashgocha Proteus. Everything is run by Hashem. But why does Hashem run the world? Well, what purpose does Hashem have in running the world? He wants us to observe and to learn things from the way He runs the world. And so what are we supposed to be doing with what we observe? We're supposed to use everything we observe in the service of Hashem. We're supposed to devote ourselves to serving Him, which means that if the date is combined in such a way, and it's got a certain number and it belongs to a certain way of calculating, then that's the way Hashem runs the world. He wants us to learn from that, and He requires from us to learn from that in Yonim, in how to serve Him and how to devote ourselves to our service of Hashem. And that's one of the basic tenets of the whole Torah, the Baal Shem Tov. And so therefore he says, because Bohim came, sorry, Lumay Mikach Aroy Bohid Hashem. Kach, he said, Gam, Vanagia, Tarikh, Boyan and Nimchoim. He said the same with the date in which we find ourselves. So he said it's Yom HaShabbat, Shvi'i, B'Shavua. The Shabbos is the 7th day in the week. He said, V'Yom HaSiri, at that time we're not holding so far, but at that time by the Rebbe it was only the 10th of Tammuz, and he said it was the Yom HaSiri, B'Chodesh. So he says, Mikol, Chelim, B'Nifrad. From each inyan, chelik meaning portion, both the day of the week and the day of the month, he said, Shaharihem, they're not really dependent one on the other. You can study each one separately. He said they also come to teach us, and from the joining of the two of them together, then we can learn all sorts of things. He said, Gam Limtzoi is a kesher Parashaseinu Parshachuchis. We have to also find the connection, since everything is Bashgacha Proteus, then the fact that these particular days and this particular time of the month come out at this particular parsha that we read, which are Parshat Chukas, then they must have some connection with Parshat Chukas, and they must reveal some learning that we can gain in addition to what we just ordinarily understand in Parshat Chukas. He said, Ula Chodesh Tammuz, he said, Ula Tarichim Asmuchim. Yes, and we can also learn something for the days which are close and coming and close following to the day where we find ourselves now. And what are they? He said they are Yud Beis Tammuz. He said the Tarim Asmuchim. They are Yud Beis Tammuz, Yud Gimel Tammuz, Chag Hagiula, and also he says they are close to Yud Zion, the Tammuz, but that's the next Shabbat coming. So according to the Zohar Kodesh in Pasha Yisroi, the Zohar Kodesh teaches us that each Shabbat blesses all the days that are coming after it. Minei Mizbuchim Kula Yomi. And so the Rebbe's made the point on many occasions that doesn't just mean from Sunday to Friday, but that means that each Shabbos also blesses the Shabbos coming, and it has some effect on the Shabbos. And so what happens is that every Shabbos benefits from what it's got also from the previous Shabbos, plus its own tremendous value that it has to do with Shabbos. So it's got its own inherent tremendous value, and it's also got what it receives from the last Shabbos. So according to that principle, since we're holding here at the time the Sikha was said, the Rebbe is holding by Yud Tammuz, and that's Shabbos, that means that that's blessing, giving a bracha into the coming Shabbos, and the coming Shabbos is going to be Shiva Osabah Tammuz, but it's another two weeks yet. But it's also going to occur Shiva also b'tamas on Shabbat. So the Rebbe said, in Cain, we are giving now, on this Shabbat where we are now, that we're giving a blessing. We're giving a blessing into, yeah. So we're giving a blessing into Yud Beis Tammuz and Yud Gimel Tammuz, but we're also giving a blessing into Shiva also Tammuz. And the amazing thing about Shiva also Tammuz that occurs on Shabbos, Shiva also Tammuz is one of the fixed fasts that occur in Shulchan Aruch. So the Rebbe says that if that occurs on Shabbos, then we don't fast. So that tends to indicate that there must be something very special about a Shabbos which should have been a fast day, and it's not. So that means that in some way it must elevate that day to a genuine message. I mean, if the day is a bad day and it requires you to fast on that day, then how come the Shabbos is able to change that? So we must say that what the Shabbos does to a day like that, exception for Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is the only, exception to that rule. On Yom Kippur you fast even when it comes out on Shabbat. But all the other fasts we push them more. So that means that Shabbos must reveal something in that day that makes it no longer applicable that you should fast. So what does it do to it? If it's got very bad things to it, then that's why we fast. What does the Shabbos do? So we have to say that the Shabbos penetrates into the pneumius of those things that happen and shows how they really, the pneumiusam, they're really very elevated things that push away the whole inner of a tainus. Not only they don't encourage the tainus, but they push it away. Well, I think if everybody thinks about that, then he sees that that's a very profound point. So therefore the Rebbe is saying that we are preparing that blessing that we're going to give into Shiva also B'Tammuz, that's going to change the whole Shiva also B'Tammuz into a day of feasting, and we're going to sit down and have a good Shabbos meal on a day that normally we fast. So he said, when we'll pay careful attention, נראה שישנה הבדל מהותי בין הספירה השבוע לה וזו החודש. When we pay careful attention, then we'll see clearly that there's a very essential, mahusi means in the very essence of the thing, a difference of most great essentiality between the way of counting the days of the week and the days of the month. He said, Asfira HaShavuos, the counting of the days of the week, it ain't a total cloud, but might a hold. It's not got anything to do with us. The sun comes up and the sun goes down, and the sun has its pattern that was fixed in chases and made braces. It's got nothing to do with us. I mean, if I wanted, I can't change tomorrow being Friday. I can stand on my head 50 times, but I can't alter the fact that tomorrow is going to be Friday and Shabbos is going to be Shabbos, because the days of the week are not under our control. We have no avodah that we can do to affect that. He said, He nikvas alidei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the sheishes yemei, the fact that there's 6 and 7 days of the week and each one is what it is, we have no control over that. That was fixed by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that's the way it remains. V'kaksu nishah kol hazman l'fi mahalach hashemesh, and that's the way it remains forever, according to the movement of the sun. So he said, V'kol pam shashemesh chukas, he said, every time the sun goes down, then we've lost an additional day. We're not we've lost it, it's come in, but it's gone over another day. Yeah, Adla Yom HaShabbos, Shekam Hi Nikva, Miyaz Alidei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. that Shabbos also was the Seder, which was fixed by the Eibishter at the beginning of the creation. And therefore the Gemara in Masechta Beita says that Shabbos is a very holy day, but the Kedusha of Shabbos is a fixed Kedusha. Mikatshuvah v'kayimo. It's a very ever reoccurring and fixed Kedusha that's there in the Seder of the creation. It's just that there's a very interesting thing occurs with the days of the week, and we're going to mention that in a second. He said, "Oi came." However, this is not the case with the Yemei HaChodesh, shenikvohim lafi based in Yehudi. He said, how do we fix that today is Chodesh? No matter which day of the month it is, well, that's according to the Beis Din. And who is the Beis Din? The Beis Din is Yidden. And if they don't, for some reason, fix the day as Rosh Chodesh, then we don't start the month. Until they actually say that now it's the beginning of the new month, and therefore the whole Kiddush HaChodesh, the sanctification of a new month in the time of the Beis Hamikdash was dependent in witnesses coming, and they had to give Eidos Lifnei HaBeis Din, and according to that Eidos, the Beis Din said, oh, now we start off on Yom, now we start off with Rosh Chodesh, and the reason we keep 2 days Rosh Chodesh, because sometimes the Eidos didn't come on the first day, and they would wait for the Eidim to come, and they would keep Rosh Chodesh out of doubt, because they're hoping the Eidim are going to come. But if they didn't, then they would receive them the next day. And so the first day was Rosh Chodesh Misofik, and the second day was Rosh Chodesh Vadai. But we see it's all according to the Beis Din. And the Gemara says in the Masechta Sanhedrin a very amazing thing. And the Gemara says that the way the Beis Din decides, that's the way it is. And let's say that the whole Beis Din had a mistake, and they heard the Eidim wrong, or they didn't receive the Eidim in the right way, or they didn't do something, even if they deliberately decided they weren't going to reckon with that point because they don't have any time, they want to get ahead. Let's say that they did something which was, I won't use the word mistaken, but was not, perfect according to halacha, and they did it, how to call it, let's say deliberately. Are you with us? You with us?
Yes, I am.
They said they did it deliberately. So the din remains, that whatever they say remains, that's the way it remains. So we see that the fixing of the month and the determination of the days of the month is completely in the hands of the Beis Din. Therefore there's a famous medrash where the famous medrash where the Eibishter says to the Malachim came to the Eibishter and they said, listen, when is it going to be Rosh Chodesh? It should be Rosh Chodesh. So the Eibishter didn't say, listen, I'm going to interfere and make sure that right now it'll be Rosh Chodesh. He said, I'm sorry, but both you and me together have to go downstairs to the Beis Din, and we have to inquire, what does the Beis Din say? So the Rebbe said, Im Kain, it follows according to that the fixing of the month is entirely in the hands of the weekly day, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, that's not in the hands of him. He doesn't have any control over that. Over the month is completely in the hands of the Beis Din. So the Rebbe says, Hey, Makoivim Matai Rosh Chodesh, Matai, Hachagim, he says, Shivas Yemei Bereshis, Oyu Miyad B'tchilas Habriyah. They said the way we have the weekly flow of the days, that started off right at the beginning. Yom Rishon, Yom Sheni, Yom Shlishi, that was the very beginning of the whole Bria. He said, Ve'ilu mitzvahs kviyas hachadoshim, the fixing of the months, that is Tchila, right? K'shebnei Yisrael yotzim mitzrayim. That was one of the things that was given to Moshe Rabbeinu in Mitzrayim just before they left. HaChodesh hazeh lochem, Chadashim, but that's the mitzvah of fixing the months and deciding when it's going to be Rosh Chodesh. That started only after Yidden left Mitzrayim, which means that when they left Mitzrayim, they were going to receive the Torah. This is one of the mitzvahs that was given to them before they actually reached Mount Sinai. We see that at the beginning of the whole Seder, of having heard Torah from the Eibishter, and according to that, functioning of Matan Torah, that is the union of fixing the month. Fixing the month is a mitzvah to the Jewish people. The days of the week got nothing to do with them. So he said, in other words, he said, Yemei HaShavua, the days of the week, Mesamlim, Meseda Habriya Hashviya. Yeah, he said that the days of the week, they fix the order of the Bria, according to, not Shvias, I'm sorry, Tibias. I thought there was a shin. Tibias, Nivra Alideh Kohen Baruch Hu. When we count the days of the week, we're living with nature. We're going according to our Seder. Nature was fixed at the beginning of the creation. He said, "Ve'yiru yemei chodesh miloshen chidush." It's one on the word chodesh carries in itself the word chidush. Well, chidush means a new, completely new factor, new idea. He said, "Mesamle mesachidush." They indicate a whole new factor in the creation. Sha'odam poyo babriya alidei amshavas elokim shalamayla me'oilam bo'oilam ad shleimah bekach begeula amitis v'ashleimah. So listen, we have to ask everybody to make a superhuman effort and be a little bit, lively and cash in what we're doing a little bit better. I put in a tremendous amount of effort into coming here and everything. It's a little bit demoralizing when you see people just everybody drooping. It's but a little bit of this one gets up and this one works here and this one goes there. We could have a little bit of how they call it, So anyway, the Rebbe says, what happens? The Rebbe says that if that's the case, when you count according to the weekly days of the week, you're going according to nature. Nature is a limited aspect of divinity which Hashem has put into the Bria according to the way that it'll be fitting and appropriate to the Bria. And it will go according to limited things which are appropriate to the creation. However, if we say that the months are a new thing and they're a chidim, and they come to Avki through what's called Isarusa to Latata, to Avki through the Isaurus of the autumn, Lamat, and he does it, then that reaches into a level of eloquence which is beyond the world. Which means that when you look at the day where you are now, and they say today is Shabbat or Friday, and it's this and it's a month, you're talking about two very essential factors in how godliness reveals itself in this world. One way is that godliness reveals itself to us in a limited, natural way, and another way that reveals it to us is in a way which is beyond the world altogether and higher than the world. And that ultimately leads to Nisim. It's from there that comes the union of Nisim, and the Rebbe says that the perfection of that is going to be in the Gula Amitis Baha Ashleim. When Moshiach will come, that'll be like the final expression of what we've been achieving all the years with the Bezdin being Mekadosh L'Chayim. Well, nowadays we're in the Golas, we don't have the Bezdin, but nonetheless we have Shabbos Muvotim. And in Shabbos Muvotim, in the great Sforim, that when we say in the shul, we make a hasroza, an announcement, that this should be a good month, and Rosh Chodesh is on this and this day, and this time, and everything. The Meilat HaLavona is at this and this moment. That is like a reliving of how the Bezdin used to be Mekadosh Lefed. It's like we, in a sort of a minor way, we relive the whole way the Bezdin used to be Mekadosh Lefed. If that's the case, and that means that on Shabbos Mevorchim, it's not some that the Rebbe made a very special inyan of Shabbos Mevorchim. All the Rebbeim did. That's when you should bring more than you have to say Tehillim. Shabbos Mevorchim, a very special day. Why? Because Shabbos Mevorchim is an open announcement to the whole world that we are bringing down a much higher level of divinity through our Avodah. We do it. Mashing the days of the week are not the days of the week. That's an inyan of Elikuz, which is limited by 10. Good. So that's very amazing. We're building up here a very amazing picture. So he says, Hevdom U'usi. There's another very essential difference. Yeah, Midaga, Mudgash, I'm sorry, Mudgash emphasized B'miyuchat B'tarik Boyan Onim Toim, and he said that is Ashvi B'Shavua, which is Shabbos, V'asiri B'chodesh. He said, Shekein Hayom, yeah, Hashvi B'Shavua, Misaberet Shleimus Abriya. Shabbos indicates in the natural Seder and in the Seder of the sun and the days, Shabbos has got a very special level nonetheless. And Shabbos, like as it were, completes what is a cycle and like blocks the cycle by perfecting the whole 6 days which have been before. Now how do I know that? Because if we look, we see a very interesting phenomenon. A phenomenon occurs after Shabbat. And we will start counting the days of the week and we say today is Yom Rishon. Now Yom Rishon means the first day. The first day was way back, I don't know how many millions of days in the past. As a fact that we say Yom Rishon, Yom Sheni, and that indicates that the whole cycle is beginning all over again. Which means that if you say that this is a limited cycle, and it's the cycle of Hativi, how does it have the quit to do that? So the answer is that in that cycle there's Shabbat. And within that cycle, Shabbos is like the perfection. So whenever you have a perfection, you rise up to a higher and much more consummate level than where you were before. You haven't gone completely out of your kelim altogether, but you've gone into a higher and much more elevated state, which means that you've reached a little bit beyond that Seder, so that when you come back to it, you're able to start all over again. You've sort of been a bit higher than that state of the 7 days, and now when you come back to them, you start all over again, and you start counting all again. However, that is all within the same basic bracket of being applicable and appropriate to the Torah. Mashiach, he said, the day of the month? Oh, he said, that's something different. The day of the month comes through right from the beginning, through Avodas HaOlam. And Avodas HaOlam reaches into a level of divinity, which is what we call Sefer Kolam, something beyond the whole Bria, and that has a tremendous effect on the whole Bria, and that brings a new Shleimus, not a Shleimus mitzad the Teva, mitzad the Seder of the 7 days. The Shabbos is also, but we introduce through that a new Shleimus into the whole world, which affects the whole world and brings a level of divinity into the world, which even Shabbos doesn't bring. Yeah, that's what the Rebbe said. So he said, yes, where are we now? Shleimus, Misamo Shleimus, B'Biyah, Shivas, Amidas Ha'el Kiyois, that's one that each day indicates a new midah in the divine midas. For example, Chesed is Yom Rishon, Yom Sheni is Gevurah, Yom Shlishi is Teferes, and so on. Ve'ilu, he said, Ve'ilu Asiri B'Chodesh, Mesamo Es HaShleimus, HaNoitzeres Alidei Avedasa, Odom. He said, Amshoches HaChokma HaElokis, המורכבת משלושה, חוכמה, בינה ודעת, ונויסה לשבע המידות. So the Rebbe said that Seder of Shabbos is the seven what we call midas, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet. However, the monthly cheshbon, which is done through a midas order, that reaches into what make the midas appear altogether and what govern the midas, and that's what we call the moichin. The moichin are chokma, bina, v'das. However, we're told in Chassidus that the chokma, bina, v'das, they are l'mayla me'ha'olam. They are beyond the world. Ad ki kach, it's even brought down that Hashem, even if he hadn't created the world, he still could have brought about the sphere of Chokhmah and the sphere of Bina. They wouldn't have interfered with his oneness and his greatness at all had he decided not to create the world, but he could have brought about. Why? Because the very essence of the Moichin is beyond the world. Their inyan, well, it's not the place to go into all the details here, but the inyan of Chokhmah Bina is beyond the world altogether. And that's like he says in Parashat Gimel, that Chokhmah Datzilas is like Soyev Kalamin, the Gavi, the rest of the creation. So there he said, what happens through the mentioning of the day of the month, and particularly if it happens to be the 10th day of the month, and that indicates the whole new perfection which we bring into the world through the counting of the month, that we bring the revelation of beyond the midas. And what is beyond the midas? Chokhmah Bina Da'at, and they are inyanim which are completely beyond the world. So he said, well, that gives power into the man, that gives a man power that in addition to purifying his midas, like his feelings and his emotions, well, that's one of the basic inyanim of Vedas Hashem. According to Chassidus, to perfect your midas, he said, apart from that, the day of the month gives us power to bring a new purity also into your seichel, not just your midas, but also in that you think completely differently and you see things in a completely different way. And you don't just walk around with the emotions controlling your thoughts and demanding from your thoughts what they want. But you become to what's called in Tanya, Moed Shalita Walei, you reach a level where your brain determines what has to be done. And the brain is essentially something beyond midas. And where does that come from? It comes from the power of the Abish's brain, which is beyond the world altogether. That's the Inyan of Chokhmah Bina V'Dat. That gives you the ability to be a new order altogether, to be in charge of yourself in a completely different way. It doesn't just mean to make yourself have good midas, but it means you should be able to control your midas and be beyond them if necessary, altogether. But had we been in a much we would have really been into inyanim, then probably we would have seen some people taking off around here. I mean, this is pretty amazing stuff. B'meila, it follows from that when you mention the monthly counting on any day, you are linking yourself with an ability to make yourself a different man altogether, that you are completely in control of yourself altogether in a way which is not natural, and you have the ability to affect the whole world that way. And you can be munching that queer into the whole world. And the Rebbe is going to say a little bit further along, that's exactly what happened on your base Talmud. He's got the point. He said, that's exactly what happened on your base Talmud. The whole victory of the Frierdiker Rebbe over the Russian regime was that he indicated that Kedusha and the Koyach Eloki of a Jew has the ability to overcome everything natural. And their whole inner was to use all the koyas of the teva, not to do good things either, and to try and take over the whole world. And the Friedrich Rebbe, he went up into the Elikus Lamaya Me'olam, and he brought them to the point that they even helped him to get out. Instead of executing him, Rahman and instead of holding him in prison, they themselves helped him to get out. And you have to remember that almost all the people who went into that building, the Chabad Tsfat, all of them never came out, Rahman. I mean, except for a few rare cases. And here the Friedrich Rebbe not only went in there, and he was miraculously saved from being shot on the first night. He not only went in there, but he came out. And he was in a way that they eventually sent him out of the country and gave him everything he required. So that's what the Rebbe is trying to say, that this Inyan is hidden in whenever you stand on any day, you've got these two things. You got the day of the week, and then you got the day of the month. The day of the month indicates a completely different power altogether, that you as a man can be in charge, just like the Bezdin. They were in charge. And of course, Bible said we have to go and ask the Bezdin, what are we going to do? Which means that the man has the ability to change his life and to change the whole world together. And that reminds you every time somebody says to you, what day is today? And they say, oh, today is Beis Tammuz. If I say Beis Tammuz, you say today is Friday, Beis Tammuz. Then when you mention Friday, you're mentioning the world, and that's a good thing, perfection, right? But when you say Beis Tammuz, you're being mamshich hakoyah to alter your soul in a very basic way, and to alter the whole world. And the Rebbe said that's ultimately the koyah which is going to bring Moshiach. That's ultimately the inyan of Moshiach. What is Moshiach? Moshiach is going to be Gilel Kuz, taking over the whole world. Kamayim liyoma machasim, as the Rambam reads. The whole world is going to be, as it were, flooded by knowledge of Elikus. It's a pretty amazing picture, the whole thing. So the Rebbe says, you'll have to forgive me, I'm a bit I was down, I made a journey down to the Merkaz and came back last night. And that for me is had it called a Superman act. So my Turim, had it called my revolvements of the motor, so it was beginning to slow down slightly. So he says, Shnei Dvorim Eilu. Shiva Vasora, these two things. The Shiva day of the week and the Sorah of the day of the month, Kshurim L'Shnei Ebeitim Toranim B'Brias Ha'olam. Two different ways of viewing the whole Bria. So he says, Tanakh, Hater Shebeksav, Ne'ema Sha'olam Nivra B'Shivas Yomim. He said, Ve'ilu B'Pirkei Avos, we say, that's Torah Shabbat Peh. We say that the world was created with a Surah Mamoris. The same, 7 and 10. So the Rebbe says the most amazing thing. You have to tune in carefully. The Rebbe said Torah Shebeksav is tremendously holy. And so Torah Shebeksav is the fundament of everything. But Torah Shebeksav is the way the Eibishter made the world according to the limitations that we described. There's a certain limitation and a certain government and power given to nature. And that's Torah Shebeksav. And therefore Torah Shebeksav says it was 7 days. The whole world was surrounded by 7 days. Right. However, he said Torah Shabbat Peh, the oral Torah is expected to be, first of all, in the Mishnah. And so we have a Mishnah called Pirkei over here. He said, Torah Shabbat Peh, that comes from the effort of the of the man. The Torah Sheba'al Peh, that's given into the hands of the great Chachomim and the Bezdin and all the generations to bring out and reveal all sorts of inyanim that were not openly there at Matan Torah. So he said, where do you get that koyah from? Yeah, that's the koyah at the Bezdin. That's the koyah of Hashem in the great Rabbonim, that they have the ability to reveal a whole new dimension in Torah, and that's Torah Sheba'al Peh. Therefore, in the Torah Sheba'al Peh, in the Mishnah, in Pirkei Avos, it's written that the world was created in 10 days. And 10, as we said, is the higher madrega. 10 is the 7, but leading up into the 3. He said, but Torah Shebiksav, the written Torah, but that's the power of nature and the power of limitation in the world, well, that says 7 days. Yeah, so those are the two nuances that we're discussing the whole time. Yeah, the days of the week and the days of the month. Asora, Mamar is referring to the koyach of the Odom, his ability to be Megala and to reveal things in Torah. Once he does that, he reveals a light which is, much higher and beyond the whole world altogether. And that's the union of the Mishnah. Asora, Mamar is Nivraha, Tafkin 10, where 10 indicates, as we said, not only 7 but 3 extra, the Indian from the Chokhmah Bina Vadas, the Indian Shalamayla Mehoilam altogether. And Mamela, that's hidden there in Torah Shebiksav and in Torah Sheba'al Peh. And like we said, that's also the Indian of Yud Beis Tammuz. We pointed out that Yud Beis Tammuz is the ability of a person like the Rebbe. And he's the koyach of the Avedas of Odom to alter the whole world and to bring a whole new light into the world, which is the light of Mashiach. That's what he said. There's one on with Yud Beis Tammuz. The Rebbe sees that as the day which is the opening of the lead-in to the Gula Shlema. But the whole meaning of the Gula Shlema is led into and perfected by the union from Yud Beis Tammuz. I'm sorry, my gentlemen, but if you'd come right at the very closing. But to stay around, because we might say L'chaim, but the class we've just finished. L'chaim. So that's it.
We keep on going. Daniel, put on the cheers if you can. תתזוז לך. זהו, האמת שכבר סיימנו, אז אתה יכול לחזור יעקב, right?
Yeah.
Be careful. How you doing there, boss? Good to see you.
I was told about this earlier today.
This is easy.
Yes.
Doing good.
How fast? I mean, I'm here.
Carefully worked out summary of what the Rebbe says in the
We also have the benefit of learning this with you
At least twice now, not
Oh.
the second time.
Yes, the second time.
To remind us.
This is the second time. You're right about that, yeah.
You go deep with this year than last year.
Right.
Very nice last year. We go deep with this year.
Yeah, yeah. But, you know, I'm done with the class, but once you usually cut it up on the screen.
Yeah, but the lack of power of sight gave you all the deeper power.
Yeah, that's sort of, that's sort of,
Your phone.
that's it today.
The person's arm is the arm on the right, they get a stronger.
Can I use your phone to call the United States? Or?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, just show me how
Who's on the staff?
No, ניגוד.
Is there 2 and 2 or whatever it is?
Something, what I'm reading.
Wein, ein bisschen Maschke.
I'm in a Vegas. Am I allowed to be at a more drink?
Ein bisschen
Well,
Wein.
you're allowed to, when we sing, don't take,
And listen.
don't sing along. If you wanted to be really strict, you could sort of get up and stand on a limb.
See you the time. No, put it on the plate.
But you'll be in listening to you can return the shiur.
זה משקה.
לא. אז מאיר חלוב, לכתוב ממאוד מגעתי. We don't have ours.
We have plates. Forks we don't have.
Forks here.
Hey,
אוכל לשתות. קדימה לשתות.
the Chaim comes.
I have a message from one of our viewers in America. It's Yosef David Hasson.
Yosef Sasson.
Yeah, he's watching in America. And he says, Bracha, Hatzlacha, Good Yom Tov, Yehi HaMelech HaMashiach.
That's interesting. I spoke to him on the phone just the other night.
How's he doing? He had an operation.
Yeah.
So
That's interesting. Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. And there's another person that I got an email from just a few days ago, and he's a fellow that he learned by me very early when we first established. It was around about Tovshin Lamed Aleph, Tovshin Lamed Beis, he learned. And he sent me an email and he said that he sees the shiurim. It's interesting stuff. You can never tell who you're reaching. Anyway, what I wanted to say, guys, is like this. I want to give you a sort of a line of thought, a line of inner awakening that I get to the inner Gimel Tammuz. The Shabbat is Gimel Tammuz. Anyway, there's two ways that we can look at Gimel Tammuz. There's one way we can see it, that it's like a sort of what you might call an interruption of a whole series of inyanim, and they demand a evaluation of how to react to them and what to do and how to interpret them, etc. Another way is to see that Gimel Tammuz is just a huge stepping ground to a much greater effort, both in ourselves and in discussions and learning of the Rebbe, and in our whole effect on the world. To see Gimel Tammuz as just a huge, we're going over into a new vista and into a new what you might call world altogether, both in our private activities and our private efforts, and on our effect on other people, and effect on those around. And that's based on the fact that there's two different ways that we can look at the whole idea of what happened in Gimel Tammuz. And that is, there's one way we can say it was a passing away of a great man, was a Istalkus. Or another way we can see it is written in the words of the Rebbe himself. This is not me coming up with any idea, but the Rebbe Rashab has a famous mimer in the Sefer Tofrei Shain Tes, in Parsha Chukas. It's mamish this Parsha. Yeah, mamish this Parsha. And there are two maimarim there. One maimar is like similar to all the other maimarim. It's not a hemshech, but it's like a maimar similar to the other maimarim up till now. Very powerful and very full of inyanim. And then all of a sudden there's another maimar in Parsha Chukas, in the same Parsha, where it appears that the Rebbe said it like later in the day or another opportunity, different than what he said normally. Yeah. And here he comes out with the most amazing statement, and in the middle of the mimer he makes a few conclusions that I think if we go according to those conclusions, then we can have a clear picture of what Gimel Tammuz is about, at least an approximation to a clear picture, and we can get this idea of moving over into a whole new gear and a self-arrangement. The Rebbe said like this, he says it to be in the Zohar Kodesh, in Pasha Achrei. He said there's a very interesting kasha that the Zohar Kodesh says like this, that if we look at what's written in the Torah, it would appear that death came into the world because of Adam Arishan's sin. that had he not sinned, then there wouldn't have been any death. But after he sinned, and the world became stained through what we might call the stain of the Nochash, that brought about an event. For Nisa, therefore people die, and they die with what the Gemara calls be'etio shel Nachash. They die according to the eter of the Nachash. There's a certain trace of his effect there. So that's what appears to be the case if we look in the Torah in simplicity. However, the Zohar Kodesh says that the Torah was kodem lo'olam, as the one in the Gemara Masechet Pesachim, and also brought down in Medrash Tilim, that the Torah was even, it's mentioned, certain levels of time before the world was created. And so the Rebbeim teaches are not really referring to time, because you can't really say the world was, the Torah was there in time before the world, because there was no time. The time itself was a creation. So what does it mean with those statements that appear to be time? It means madrigas, I'm not going into that right now. But there's a primordial state of the Torah. A long time before the world was created, there's a primordial state of the Torah. So the Zohar Kodesh says, it's written over there in the Torah, if you look in the Torah, in this week's parashat, in parashat chukas, it's written if a man will die in the tent, and then he becomes a dead man, and so the tumor spreads out through the whole tent, and you get a whole problem around the tent and the people inside it, and so they have to have the Torah Duma against in. So from there would appear that in the primordial Torah it's written that man is going to die inside a tent. Anyway, that's going to happen. So in Cain, man was going to die anyway. So what does it appear in this Torah that man wouldn't have died if it hadn't been for the Chayim? Everybody got the question? Oh, simple question. The answer is not simple. And the Rebbe says there's two different levels in death, two different levels altogether. He said there's one level where ain't nothing. I mean, people are affected by the Chetei Tzadaz, and they live within the Chetei Tzadaz, and therefore they die according to what the Nachash brought into them. But he said there's some people who are much higher than that. And they're beyond it altogether. They've purified themselves in such a way that they're not tied to the Nachash HaKadosh. It's put down in the Sefer HaBoyer. It's also written that Rabbi Shimon, for example, he was higher than the Chetei Tzadaz. So the Rebbe said that there's quite a few people like that, not just Rabbi Shimon. There's a lot of people are like that. And what happens to them is that they just leave the world in a way that we who are affected by the Chayim, we can't communicate with them anymore. But they don't die like the Nachash wanted people to die. They just go off into a higher trade. And the expression is, they move over to another level altogether. That's what he said. And then I found the most amazing thing. Years and years before, about close to 50 years before Iron Ted, the Rebbe Hashem, when he was much, much younger, wrote a mimer, and he's got a big footnote in that mimer, and he says almost the same thing in a few words, what he says about 50 years later over there in Iron Test, much more original. And over there he says briefly that there are two different types. There's some people, they die because of the Nachash, there's others who don't, and they don't die. They just go over into another level altogether, and they're not observable anymore. And we can't really communicate them, but they're there. To use the expression, Chayim. They're there. I'm not saying that, not the Rosh Hashanah is saying it, the Rebbe Hashem says it. If we go that way, then it follows that Gimel Tammuz represents a movement into a new area altogether. In other words, it's not a Hilula and it's not a Yortzeit, and it's just a moving into a whole new world altogether, and therefore we see that Lubavitch has never stopped from the moment of Gimel Tammuz and on. Everything is moving, developing and expanding, and through the Igros Kodesh, all sorts of people are getting answers, and people make contact with the Rebbe and all this. It's astonishing. It's just absolutely mind-blowing. And I just had an angel of mine, a grandson of mine, he runs in the yeshiva in Tzfat. He went on a shlichus to Russia for about 2.5 weeks. A camp they made over there in somewhere near Petersburg or something. And he came back and he told me what's going on. It's just amazing. People, all the people that were so affected by the communist regime, and you got tens of thousands of Yidden that lost all connection with Yidden. They don't even really realize what's happening to them. Yeah, and they're all sort of coming up from under the ground almost, and they're looking for Yiddishkeit. You follow? So I'm not going into all the details that were heard. There are certain changes that can be made in that, and certain things that can be done better, but a lot is being done. Tremendous amount. And it's expanding. The world is expanding, and the effect of the Rebbe on the whole world is expanding. More and more people are getting to know about the Rebbe. I don't think you got anybody in the street here who hasn't heard of the Lubavitcher Rebbe and doesn't know basically what the Rebbe had to say. I mean, everybody, it's just mind-blowing. In other words, the Rebbe is also, he's increasing. There's no cutback, there's unbelievable, what you might call, progress and expansion. And what I see to be, what's going to happen, the whole situation here in Earth is just so absurd, you know. It's just absolutely absurd in the most terrible way. And we're in the hands of people with a so-called government that they really want to sell us out to the Arabs. You know? I mean, that's what they're up to. They're just gradually doing it. And they are supporting terror, but they're saying, oh, the terrorists here are different. They've got a point. So if you've got a point, you're allowed to be a terrorist. So all the terrorists who claim they've got thousands of points, they also become terrorists. Why not? So the situation is just absolutely terrible. What is going to save the situation? The Rebbe. Because people are gradually beginning to get through the thick skulls that what the Rebbe said tens of years ago, that's what has to be done. And these guys are never going to admit it. But it's just gradually going to close in on them. But one way or another, they're going to have to come to the ball game. Yeah, I don't know how that's going to happen, but it will happen. In other words, that the Rebbe is gradually showing and taking over what is the ultimate destiny of Chabad Tsfat. And nothing has slowed down. Everything is taken off, a tremendous expansion. And you got all these young kids, you know, the whole generation that never saw the Rebbe. They never, you know. I mean, I know in Goliath, that I say to them, just the other night, I said to somebody, I got married in Toshik Gimel. Yeah. The guy sort of looked at me and he said, wow. He said, אני עוד לא נולדתי אז. He said, well, like that, he said, well, חשבו עליי. He said, no, they never thought about me. It was years before my parents even thought about me. So Chabad you got this whole generation of Chabad people who are growing up, you know, they never saw the Rebbe, and they would never in their wildest, you know, dreams suggest that they saw the Rebbe, and yet they are fire. They are fire, and their devotion to the Rebbe is, you know, fire. You know? What we learned tonight, sometimes my uncle comes over to visit me on my way to Shabbat, and he tells me certain things that are written further ahead in the secret that we learned here. And yet these young guys, you know, He's barely, I mean, how old is he? 20, 19 and a half, something. And he knows all the sikhas, you know, these guys are fire, you know. Anyway, so nothing has changed. And the Rebbe didn't leave us, chas v'shalom. There's no yortai, there's no hilula or thing. It's just a changing of state, moving over into another world. And the Rebbe Hashem says it Mefurim. And at Kedikach, that the Rebbe Hashem asked himself, Akasha, and he said, I had written that Moshe Rabbeinu was buried. Yeah. So he said, if Moshe Rabbeinu was buried, then he's in the ground, he's not in some higher place. So he said, Shivim Panim LaTorah. He said, that's what one thing in the Torah says. What I say is something else. So you guys don't know how to fall off tables. When you hear that, you're supposed to fall off the table. You're right about what's written in more of the Pasuk. He said, Shivim Panim LaTorah. Meaning what he says is also part of the Torah. In other words, that there's a one way of learning it that the Rebbe just went into another world altogether. That's what he said. I can show it to him for it. Oh man, our wait on Gimel Thomas is just a try. You might say, well, we're all tired and we have no prayer and we're doing the best we can anyway. That's right, that's true. But you could just make another little effort. Yeah. Try on Shabbos to wake up, you know, and just move into another gear and say, I'm also going to move over into a new world. I'm going to expand. You follow? And Hashem will help you. That it will happen. And maybe that's what Hashem is waiting for some Meshuggah in the fryer, amongst all the fryer leftists or something to change. These guys are not going to change. Who is Hashem waiting for? He's waiting for him. He's waiting for you, waiting for you, waiting for me. But we have to do something. He's waiting on his Erech Yidin. Yeah? But he's also not waiting that I should go to Mount Everest and lift up Mount Everest and carry it on my head into the local city square. He doesn't expect that either. He expects that I do something really positive, something really good, in addition to what I'm already doing, and that'll be the Rambam said, that if you make one good addition to what you're already doing, that could be enough to bring the whole world straight. It could be. He said, that's what will happen. Let's see, this witnesses substantial happened in this day.
Anything?
Huh?
Anything else on this day substantial took place?
Today?
On Gimel. Yeah.
Just said that the Rebbe went up into a new unlimited area. He's in a much higher state, but he didn't die. People were affected by the nafesh. They died. Although there's great people that they just move over into another area.
Did anybody else pass on this day?
Huh? Well, it could be that there are other people. I mean, I should imagine there are people who passed away. But it also happens to be the day that the Frierdiker Rebbe was released from the prison.
Okay.
And that's indicative of a huge, unlimited power. Oh, man, that's a message that I want to give you guys. So on Shabbat, we've all got to move gear, had to go to switch gear, you know. Up to now you've been in the second gear, move into third. We've got to go up and move up into another, you know, level, and we'll be into the Rebbe's his whole area where he is. We'll get up into that sort of, I don't know, Mamish, the same area, but I don't know if we're going to make it. But we'll get up into that sort of ball game. And the Rebbe is affecting the whole world. The Sheva Mitzvahs, when they know it, for example. Yeah. A few years ago, there was a bit of a sort of a a bedtime story, you know. Yeah, some people, some people not. Nowadays it's just taking up all the world. Children,
Baruch Hashem.
yeah. And we started with the Shabbat. So the Ebershter did it when he taught Noah. And the Gemara brings it out in detail over who actually got it into the world. The people were really excited about it. The Rebbe.
Yeah.
That's the Rebbe.
I read that.
Yeah, but everything is the Rebbe. And therefore I wanted this complete. And just let you know one very fascinating thing that's written in this week's parasha in Rashi. It's a Rashi right near the end of the parasha. Right near the end. Right near the end of the parasha, it's written that the Yidden had a war with Chibad. You heard of Chibad? He was a big Amorite king.
Oh.
Very powerful king. And he was in the whole area where the Amorites are, not far from the border with Eretz soil. They're whole so close to the main water, what they call Eva Hayad, the other side of the Jordan River. Let's say not the side we are, but the what you might call the east side, but the other side of the Jordan. That's where Chibad was. So it's written that all the Yidden led by Moshe Rabbeinu, they had come to that area where they had to go in order to get to the Jordan River. They had to go through, or they wanted to go through Chibad's country. So it's written that Moshe Rabbeinu sent him a message and said, listen, we just want to go through your country. We're not going to do anything, but it's going to go through. And Chibad, he was the big military power in those days, and he was like protecting. He took taxes from people to protect them in that whole area of the world. So he said, I'm here to protect everybody. I'm going to let you walk through my Medina. So he came out to make war with the Yidden, and they beat him. They really beat him. As they say in Yiddish, Matim Tishmetanet. They made nothing of it. So that's written in Moshe Rabbeinu that Yidden, Vayishlach Yisrael, Malachim, El Chibad Melech Omer, that they sent messengers to, the Yidden sent messages to Chibad. So come on, Rashi, and Rashi says that in Dvorim, when he's telling the story over again, Moshe Rabbeinu says, Vayishlach Malachim, El Chibad Melech Omer. So it's written that Moshe Rabbeinu sent it. And here it's written that the Yidden sent it. Everybody got the question? Yeah, it's written that the Yidden sent it. So Rashi said, that's no problem. Why? He said, Malamed sheMoshe hu Yisrael, v'Yisrael haim Moshe. Everybody got it? That Moshe is the Yidden and the Yidden are Moshe. So that's pretty good, and that's pretty good going. Rashi doesn't stop there. And then he goes on, Rashi, and he says, Malamed shehamnosi hadoyer, nosi hadoyer, who could call hadoyer? That the nosi, the generation, he's like the whole generation.
Go on.
Shalom Aleichem, Moshe Rabbeinu was more than a Nasi. Moshe Rabbeinu was a king. He was a Nasi. Rashi is looking into the future. There's going to be other Moshe Rabbeinu. And they're not necessarily going to be kings, but they'll be Nasis. And a Nasi has a mind. He's very special, a Nasi. The word Nasi is Rosh Hashanah's Nitzot Shel Yaakov Avinu. Anyway, let's not go into all that. That's fine. So Rashi says, Malamed she'nosi hadoyer, who could call hadoyer? So you might say, well, that's great. Oh, what have you learned here? Tremendous thing. And Rashi doesn't stop there. And he says, Yeki anosi hu hakoyer. He adds the words, Rashi, because the Nasi, he is everybody. But some people say it doesn't just mean everybody, but it means everything. Anosi hu hakur. So everybody says, chow down on the stove. But what did Rashi, what do you have to put that in for? What did he to hold with the Anosi? He just said that Moshe Rabbeinu, you know the same thing. Okay, what? Then now he said, Malamed, come see the Nosi Ader, who could go Ader, and then it says, he adds Rashi and he says, Ki Anosi hu hakur. The Nosi is everybody and he's everything. And when Nimtzorf he said that the Rebbe is everybody and the Rebbe is everything. If you link up with him and you try as much as you can to do things this way, you're on a sure bet, because you're back to right order. Because if you link up, Shalom Baruch, how are you doing? You already heard this. You heard it in the class the other day. We've been learning here, we've been forbearing, but we come back to what we said in the class the other day. They said, man, it follows what he said, that Rashi comes to teach us, first of all, there's a general thing, that there's a koyach and Moshe Rabbeinu. And the Yidden and the koyach and Moshe Rabbeinu are all equated. However, that's not going to stop there. Moshe Rabbeinu was the beginning, and there's going to be generations to come, and the generations are going to find themselves even in Golos at one end of time. Yeah? I mean, the big Nasi, Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi, he was under the Romans already. And he was the Nasi. By the way, he was descended from David HaMelech. But some people say that the Rebbe is descended from David HaMelech even more than what Rebbe was. The Rebbe was descended from David HaMelech through his mother. And the Rebbe is descended from David HaMelech from both sides. Anyway, whatever. So it comes from Rashi, and Rashi says, yes, Hanosi hu kekol haTorah. All of a sudden, he's already told you that Moshe Rabbeinu and the Yidden, fine, good. But the other Rashi knew that there's going to be generations to come. And there's going to be people who are nothing. And those Nosis, they gain their curve from Moshe Rabbeinu. And they gain their curve from the Eibusher. And they gain the curve from David HaMelech, by the way. That's another end. That's a עוד משהו, אבל אין כאן אמרנו להרי בזה כרגע. So, Rashi says, שהנוסי, הוא ככל הדרך. You might say, well, that's great. That's tremendous. You know, we've got all the generation have an approximation, and they have a kesher with the Nasi. Then all of a sudden Rashi says, Shalnosi hu hakoyah. But why do they need to put that in for? Yeah, enough. Where does Nasi get his? He gets it from Hashem. But Yaminu Hashem over Moshe Rabbeinu. You have to believe in the Eibusher and in Moshe. They're all the same firm, you know.
Okay.
They're linked up together.
Interesting.
So Nasi hu hakoyah. Nasi said Nasi everything. Yeah, everything in life goes through the Nasi. Everything connected with him, and even I would say, you have a bit of malafafon. Eat a bit of malafafon. Baruch Hashem, you got malafafon on the table. That also comes through the Nasi. In other words, the fact that you have what you need in life, and who are Yidden? I mean, Yidden are not people that are mixed up in the world like the Goyim, you know. There's something peculiar about these Yidden, you know. Wherever they live from, how do they live? The Rebbe Marash said that the whole Jewish Parnasa from the time of the Churban Bayis Sheni is B'derech. And he said the man, yeah, by way of miracle, he said the man comes down today also. The Mara said that there's also a man today.
Yeah.
Yeah. He said the very fact that Yidden, Panoza, and Li'afrei Churban Bayis Sheni, that's man. So when you eat that bit of, what you can call it, a cucumber, you're eating man.
Man.
You're eating man. And who brings you the man? And who makes sure that, that it's coming down? The Nasi. The Nasi. He looks after it. What is the Nasi? What does he need the whole thing for? Yeah, he could say, I can sit and learn Torah. What do I need to be a Nasi? Sitting on Torah. No, he has unbelievable Mesiras Nefesh to undertake that responsibility. He had to see that you got a bit of cucumber. But he doesn't. And that's why he's everything. Nasi Worker. Oh, man, have a good evening, gentlemen. Everybody.
Fine.
So why does Rashi have to say it? Why I can't? Say it over there in Dvorim. And it's also written a pasuk by Yiftach. It's also written that Yiftach says that Moshe sent Malachim. And it's written that the Yisrael sent them all. So it's the same shot. So say it over there in Shoftim, or say it in Dvorim. Why does Rashi right here at the end of this parashat? The whole thing, I know see who it, because this week's parsha begins with chukas HaTorah. Yeah, what's a chukah? Completely. ניתן. That the koich of the whole Torah, those chukas HaTorah, the koich of the whole Torah is chukah. It is got a statute that doesn't make sense.
Oh, yeah.
You follow? Yeah, that makes no sense. It's beyond reasonable. So therefore, Rashi writes at the end of the parasha, who gives you the courage to be a Meshuggah? Who gives you the courage to be the Mother Sefer the governor? Moshe. That's in the time of Moshe. In the Golas, it's in Moshe. And you got to realize, if you want to be a Zunta Meshuggah, you want to be Lamala Mitan Vadas, but still remain normal.
What?
In other words, you want to be Meshuggah, but you're still normal, you have to have a Nasi.
Oh.
You have to have a Nasi. If you have a Nasi, he teaches you how to be Meshuggah and to be normal.
Even before that, in Parshas Baloischon, the Keshet Tereman, it says, "V'lemechoshim v'ydabu Yisrael be'Elokim u'be'Moshe, lo me'er Yisonu."
Yeah.
Hishvu Eved lekoin, Hishvu B'nei Yisrael, Elokim lo me'er Yisonu.
Yeah, now it's written, "V'yidabru ve'Elokim." Hey, wait a minute. There's stated in a hunting about it. But the Nefesh HaNefeshet. Yeah, "V'yidabru ve'Elokim u'Moshe."
בהייטק ישראל, Elokim נופל בהם. הייטק ישראל. Elokim u'Moshe,
"V'yidabru ve'Elokim u'Moshe."
Hishvu Eved lekoin.
Yeah.
Du זוכר את ה...
אז אתה זוכר, הנה. אין לך מה?
אתה שומע עברית.
לא מאליסונו, לא שרבו, לא מאליסונו, מוישה דאיגש תתגד.
I couldn't agree more with you.
The same Indian.
Yeah.
Mitzag.
So, what was said?
Hishve, V'yeved lekoin.
When they Yisrael themselves, when they had a Chayim.
That answers this question.
English.
They're the same firm.
We're waiting for you.
Give them time with the man.
It's to them. אמר לצפות, מה שיעשה, מבחינת עבודים, it's a good fellow. השם שלו, יש לו תוכן סימפל. טוב לזה.
תגיד לי שאתה סוגר את שאני יכול לדבר חופשי. כן.
Do you connect with the Nasi or just the Nasi?
והמצלמה.
Do
you connect with the Nasi or does the Nasi come and connect to you?
It's good. He's looking for you, but if you make the connection to him, that's much very good, effective. That way. I remember speaking, the Alter Rebbe says in prayer days, in Tanya, that even those who don't admit to the Nasi, to the Chacham, Shepherd generation, he anyway looks out to them, but they're out of line. It's like a sort of, backhanded thing, but he still has to look out. It's like form of connection with him. טוב.
מה אתה עושה עם זה לא סביבו?
חיים.
חיים חודש, שבס.
מה אתה עושה עם זה again, לא סביבו הכל?
אני אשתדל לבוא בשבתות.
Why does it say